High interest rates, tight inventory, and just a whole mess of stuff going on in the world. And buying a home seems impossible. If that sounds like you, then you're going to want to stay to the end of this video because I'm going to be giving you all the tips, tricks, and all the information you need to make an informed decision on if you're going to buy a home in 2026. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Dewitt. I am a real estate agent here in the Central Maryland area. Welcome to the #1 Maryland YouTube channel in the world, or at least it's soon to be. It's only if you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. There's new videos coming out every week. Here we talk all things Maryland, living here, chilling here, buying real estate here, investing here. And I give you the good, the bad, the ugly. Nothing is sugar-coated and there's no bias. Well, maybe a little bit of bias. Today we're talking about first-time homeowners. Time and time again, I get people call me and they say buying the first house seems impossible. Just impossible. Doesn't matter what their salary is, doesn't matter where they live, they just can't seem to get it right. They can't seem to figure it out, and it's just unaffordable. While I'm not going to act like I'm naive and say that it's easier than ever and that it's a simple thing. No, it is difficult right now. However, there are specific things you can do to put yourself ahead of the curve and get that house just a little bit sooner than some of your peers may be doing. All right, buckle up because right now we're going to get into market context, right? If you're going to buy a house, you should understand the market. This isn't like 10, 20 years ago where you bought a house and it was just which house you liked the most. Now you have to make a smart, informed decision. And there's a lot of factors that play into when and where you buy your house. Now, right now, mortgage rates are a big deal, especially for first-time home buyers. Right, as of early 2025, average 30-year fixed mortgage rates have crossed into 7%. Now, right now, they're sitting at about 6.3%, which is kind of a big difference, but that's still not the greatest, right? Especially when so many people seem to think we're going to get back in the COVID numbers where we had 2 and 3%, which probably won't happen short of another catastrophe like COVID. So what interest rates truly mean is a higher monthly payment. It's not necessarily about what the rate is, it's just affects what you can afford, right? It affects your monthly payment for the same house. Number two is inventory trends, right? According to the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, Q1 of 2025 showed a 4.5% decline in inventory. And that stays steady up until really about now, right? Now that's not uniform across all counties. There is some nuance to that. And we saw some counties in some areas actually have an increase in inventory, such as Howard County. Now, what this drop in supply really means is there's less inventory, meaning there's more competition for the same house, right? If more people are looking at less options, well, that drives the prices up, that drives the competition up, and you don't have as much leverage and buying power or negotiating power when you're looking for that house, right? This causes people to miss out on things like inspections, concessions, down payment assistance, and just end up paying more for the same house. And it just doesn't seem worth it to them. They end up backing out and waiting until there's a better market. I've given you all this information. Why does this matter? Well, you got to understand supply and demand and market trends, right? To give you a quick overview without turning into a math teacher, right? Higher rates plus tight inventory equals challenging affordability, right? You have to pay more to get the house and you have to pay more while you're in the house, right? That challenges the affordability and how much house you can buy. But the market is softening in some areas. For example, in the broader DC area, buyer leverage is improving. What that means is people get a bit more negotiating power. They're getting concessions, lower prices. They're getting more of the things they want in the process of buying a house. Now, this could translate into lower prices and even more negotiating power coming back into play for our buyers. Real quick, if you like this type of content, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop in the comments things you want more education on. And if you're thinking about buying in the Central Maryland area, my information will be somewhere on the screen. You can call, text, email, do whatever you can. We want to help you. We want to get you educated and help you make an informed decision. My information will also be down in the description below. Every day we get people just like you messaging us, calling us, asking questions, getting to know us, right? Whether you're 5 days or 5 years out, we want to help you. As we get into part 2 of this video, we're going to talk about Maryland-specific programs for first-time home buyers. Right now, I get this question a lot. People ask, what type of programs and assistance can I get? A lot of people seem to think that first-time home buyer classes come with some type of huge concession and huge payout. Often they really don't. right? They're kind of a waste of time if you ask me. Some people find them valuable, and I think they do have some good information, but a lot of it you can get from a 15-minute conversation with a realtor instead of a 3-day class. Now, the first and most popular is the Maryland Mortgage Program, or MMP for short. The backbone of many first-time homebuyer programs in Maryland, it provides a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage plus down payment and closing cost assistance. Now, I have had times where people completely negate their down payment and their closing costs just by using MMP, or they significantly lower it where it's only a few grand out of pocket. Now, there are different flavors depending on your situation, right? There's First Time Advantage, which is a very low fixed rate, particularly for first time home buyers. There's Flex Loans for buyers who may not qualify for the Advantage one, or more flexible. There's Flex Loans for the buyer who may not qualify for Advantage or want more flexibility, including down payment assistance and 0% deferred loan. Now, that's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo to say. They're pretty much giving you free money and lower interest rates, right? They're making the house more affordable to buy flat out and more affordable while you're in the house. Again, these are important when we're thinking about buying in Maryland, right? You need to know how much house you can afford, what your monthly payment will look like, right? And how much are you going to need to actually close on the house? Those are the two big numbers we need to iron out before we ever think about buying a house. Real quick, if you don't know what those numbers look like, we can help you. We can connect you with a preferred lender partner. We can sit down, have a conversation, and look at your finances to see what makes sense to buy and what doesn't. Or is there some work we can do, like building credit, building savings, to help you get in a more comfortable position to buy that house? Again, my information will be on screen and down below. Again, we want to help you, right? It's a simple call. We don't try to sell you on anything. We just want to help, right? Don't blame us if you end up buying in the wrong area and you didn't reach out to us, okay? Lastly, with MMP, there's specialty loans like home mobility for buyers with disability or people taking care of people with disabilities. And there's Smart Buy 3.0 for buyers with student loan debt. Let's get a bit more into each of those and see what they actually offer. Smart Buy 3.0 is for student loan debt. Now, a lot of the world has student loan debt and quite a bit of it, right? So this actually helps you pay some of your student loan debt off. Smart Buy 3.0 lets you use up to 15% of the home's purchase price to pay off eligible student loan debt. Yes, you can negate some of your student loan debt by buying a house. Now that sounds like a win-win to me, right? The portion is a 0% interest forgivable second mortgage, but you must pay off all remaining student loan debt at closing. Right, so you don't just get to pay off a portion of it, you do have to pay it all. So it kind of depends on how much student loan debt and the price of the house that you're buying. However, I've seen a lot of people be able to save a lot of money when using Smart Buy 3.0. Right, they've used this and they completely negate their student loan debts. They now no longer have this student loan debt that they're making payments on, and they're able to funnel that money into their house, into vacations, their car, or whatever they want to do, right? It frees up a lot of their income and helps them have the life that they actually want when they buy a house, right? We get people all the time to say, I don't want to be house poor. I don't want to have a house and then not afford to actually live because you have the house. No, this actually frees people up a lot, and it's great for people with student loan debt. An important thing to realize with Smart Buy 3.0 is you also need to contribute at least 5% of the purchase price from your own funds. So you do have to have some money saved up here, right? You have to come out of pocket about 5%. But again, to a lot of people, that's very manageable. And to completely knock out your student loan debt, that seems worth it. The First Time Advantage second mortgage plus DPA. Within First Time Advantage, there are down payment assistance options, a 0% deferred second mortgage equal to 3% of the first mortgage to help with down payment, right? So in other words, they'll give you 3% down payment assistance, right, based on the first mortgage, and they'll give you a second mortgage, right, with it that doesn't collect interest, right? So you do have to pay it back, but it doesn't collect any interest. Let's say they give you $5,000. They attach it to your mortgage, and you pay it over the course of 30 years and it has no interest, right? That's $5,000 over the course of 30 years. That doesn't change your mortgage payment that much and no interest, right? To a lot of people, this is a no-brainer, right? We hear that you have to pay it back and then we immediately want to run from it. Depending on how much they give you, it's a very manageable amount. The second option with First Time Advantage is a flat out $6,000 closing / down payment assistance, which is also 0% deferred, right? No interest on it or no interest for a certain amount of time. That's what deferred means. So it might be 10 years, it might be 5 years. Who knows? It just kind of depends on each person in the area. However, it's a essentially almost a free $6,000, right? It's again, it's put on the back end of your mortgage and it's paid over the course of 30 years, right? If you don't have 30 years to pay off 6 grand, look, we gotta sit down and iron out the finances a little better. Okay. There's also a partner match program, right? Where if your employer, builder, or community organizer contributes, then MMP will match up to $2,500. MMP will match up to $2,500, meaning if your employer or builder helps you out with the home purchase, they'll match that up to $2,500. So you could be getting 6 grand plus another 5 grand. That's $11,000 towards your home purchase. Who doesn't want a free $11,000? Next, there's local and county level assistance. A lot of these are also 0% deferred. There's certain purchase programs up to 25,000. Again, this is very nuanced because it depends on where you're buying. There's different ones for Baltimore City, Howard County, Carroll County. You really just have to know where you want to buy and get educated. Right? If you do know where you want to buy, just ask us and we can point you in the right direction so you can learn all about the grants and programs and down payment assistance in your area or desired area. Now, tax credit options. This is a big one that not a lot of people know about. The mortgage credit certificate is offered through MMP, and it allows eligible buyers to claim up to 25% of annual mortgage interest with a cap of $2,000, meaning your interest is a write-off. You can write it off on your taxes, right, up to $2,000. And a lot of people don't pay too much over that. But even if you do, it's a free $2,000 that you write off on your taxes. For a lot of people, that's a big deal, especially if you really understand tax benefits. Right now, this doesn't reduce your loan, but it does reduce your federal income tax, which is a long-term benefit. Right? Pay less in taxes, keep more money, have more money, spend more money. Real fast, we're going to get into some tips and strategies to get ahead of the curve. These are things that a lot of people aren't doing or just aren't aware of, and they're waiting too long and they're missing the 8 ball. They're missing the perfect market that they're looking for because they're just scared to take action. Right? Number one is get pre-approved. There is no risk to being pre-approved, right? Especially if you do it with us, right? Use a local lender that understands MMP, that's familiar with state and local programs. Not all lenders are cut the same. If you need a great lender, reach out to me, reach out to my team. We can connect you with a great one and sit down with you as you talk to them to make sure you're comfortable and all your questions are answered. Right? Get pre-approved. There's no risk. Getting pre-approved does not require you to buy a house. You're not signing a contract saying, I have to buy a house. Matter of fact, you'll never sign a contract that says, I have to buy a house, especially if you work with us, right? We don't care if you buy in a year, buy in 5 years, 10 years. We still want to help guide you in the right direction, but you have to get pre-approved. That's how we find out what you can afford, what's comfortable for you, and where you want to be. Getting pre-approved. It also doesn't have to affect your credit. Our lenders are so special, they're able to do it without doing a hard pull inquiry on your credit, so it doesn't affect your credit score. They actually don't do this until about right before the closing, right? That way, you don't have this significant drop in your credit score before you buy the house. Number two is budget for more than just a mortgage. Especially here in Maryland, you have to budget for taxes, interest rates, small changes, things like that, right? You have to have a safe buffer, a little bit of cushion, and don't stretch to the maximum of what you can afford. We tell people all the time, just because you're pre-approved for $400,000 doesn't mean you need to buy a $400,000 house. You can buy a 350, a 300, a 250 if you want, right? And you can save some money, be a bit smarter. I have people that love to house hack, right? They buy well under their pre-approval. They get cash flow. They move out every year and buy a new one right down the block, right? There's your people under 30 that own 2, 3, 4, and 5 houses, right? You can do something like that if you're just smart with the budget and you know your numbers. 3 is consider down payment assistance. Now, I know we just talked about that. We just went into detail, but so many people get some sense of pride and don't want to use down payment assistance. They feel like they're stealing from people that are less fortunate than them. This is not just for the needy or the less fortunate. This is for everyone, right? These are things you need to consider seriously, especially if you qualify. You could just be leaving money on the table. Don't let your pride or your ego or whatever the reason is get in the way of free money. 4, leverage your student loan debt if possible. Use the Smart Buy 3.0, right? Or if you just have the money to pay the student loan debt down, do that, right? Having a lower debt to income is going to make a great difference in how much home you can afford. 5, be strategic about timing and offering, right? Because inventory is tight in Maryland, right? Because inventory is tight in Maryland, but the market is softening, some markets give more room to negotiate than others. Right? Use contingencies smartly, such as inspections, financing, and appraisal. Don't waive them blindly just to win. This is not that type of market where you have to waive appraisals, waive financing, waive inspections, just so you can win the house. This is not that type of market where you have to start waiving inspections and buying a house that you're unsure about just to win. Right? Be patient, be strategic, talk to us, right? We're the strategy experts, we're the market experts. We're going to tell you what's a good idea and what's not. Because the last thing we want is for you to buy a house, then call us a year later saying you hate it here and you made the wrong decision, right? We want you happy in that house. And then if you do decide to move, we want it to be your decision, not because you were forced to move because the house didn't work for you. 6, do your homework on the neighborhoods. Understand where you're going to live, research school districts, commute times, future development plans. Make sure you're getting in a place that's actually going to grow, right? A home is not just a place to live, it's a place to make memories. It's a place for your family. And it's an investment. Whether you're going to use it as an investment property or not, it's still an investment. So make sure that you're not just buying the home, but you're buying the area around your home. You're buying the neighborhood, you're buying the county. Right? Use local research data, market trends, pick up on neighborhoods that have updates but are still affordable. And lastly, just get educated, right? Again, you can take a home buyer course or you can just schedule a consultation with us, talk to us for 30 to 45 minutes, right? And we'll help you out. Sometimes it's even as quick as 15 minutes if you just have some specific question. We don't mind doing that, right? Meet with a local real estate agent like me who works with a lot of first-time home buyers and knows local programs, right? Also start building your home buying teams. You need a lender, an agent, inspector, possibly a real estate attorney, possibly a broker, right? All these things in your back pocket is going to be helpful when you're looking. Don't just think you're going to blindly stumble upon the perfect house and then all of a sudden be able to buy it. It takes preparation and it takes some strategy, and that's what we're here to help you with. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. If you like that type of content, don't forget to like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you want videos on next. There's new videos dropping every week. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss one. Appreciate you all. Again, trying to get this to the #1 Maryland YouTube channel in the world. If you're looking to buy in Maryland, relocate to Maryland, or you just have a simple question, again, my information will be here on the screen, down in the description below. You can always reach us. You can always get in touch with us by email, text, or phone call. You don't have to schedule, right? Just reach out to us. I promise somebody will respond, most likely myself. Thank you so much for staying to the end. You're very appreciated. Happy Thanksgiving, and have a fantastic day.